Well, Congressman, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having this conversation. It's a beautiful day here at State Fair.
Well, tell me, growing up in Northwest Iowa, how big was the Iowa State Fair on everyone's calendar, the to-do list? I mean, when did you first start coming down to the State Fair as a little guy?
I suppose, I started coming down here, not in high school, but after that.
Oh,
just
really?
Dropped in a few times because we were always drawn into our county fairs and on up to the Clay County Fair. Being Northwest Iowa, the Clay County Fair is a strong attraction too. But once you get down to the State Fair and you start seeing this and looking at it from a world perspective. If you wanted to learn about Iowa, no matter where you came from in the world, you'd want to come to this State Fair and spend at least 3 days here, and there's no way you could live long enough to at least even sample all the food.
So that's your motto, at least 3 days to get the full...
Yeah, that's what I say, and then you can't eat all the food, but you can choose a little here and there. That's some of the best.
What's your first State Fair memory? You say it was after high school, so you were a young man when you first came here. How old were you when you first got to the State Fair, do you think?
Probably in my late teens or early 20s.
What do you remember?
It's just kind of vague. It's the blur of all the things that you see in a lifetime. That goes back a ways. That's 40 years ago. And so dropping in here and into the State Fair, I just look at it as a representation of Iowa. And you look around, and even today I stand here and I say I have trouble wiping the smile off of my face because first of all, the weather's been beautiful every single day here, and the people are fantastic. They aren't pushy, they're patient, they're friendly, they're outgoing, they come up and they talk. Most of it's pats on the back. It's pretty hard to hear anything other than that. And they're proud of what they bring to the fair. And so, my gait's a little off today because I had the great privilege of showing a steer in the governor's steer show a couple of days ago.
Oh, yeah.
And 1,335 pounds on 1 foot kind of changes a person's gait for a while.
You got stepped on?
I got stepped on in the steer show, but also the Voss Show Cattle people from Dexter won Reserve Grand Champion, and so I had the privilege to show that steer.
Oh, really?
And
so you had the winning steer.
Well, he was as my boys, I've been a little tough on the standards that I've raised our 3 sons with, and they said, well, you were just the first loser, because the grand champion, of course, went to the Pearson family.
Oh, sure.
And it could not have been better. It began to start perhaps a new Pearson tradition, extend the existing tradition, and it put a piece in to start to fill the hole for the loss of Mark Pearson.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so I don't know if anybody was happier for them than I was standing there next to them inside that arena.
Tell me a little bit about this steer incident, because you're on 2 feet now. A lot of people, how did you react? Did you keep to suppress the scream?
I don't know what I might have said, but we got right in front of the judges, and when the speakers opened up, it spooked the steer, and as he spooked, he jerked away from me, and I jerked him back towards me and planted my foot to bring him back, and he planted his foot on my foot to pull away, and then I pushed on him to get him off of my foot, and that's when things got out of control. But we got him around, and we brought him back around, and he was good enough to be the Reserve Grand Champion. So,
wow, and you limped through into the end, huh?
And yes, and my little toe is about as big as my thumb right now, but it's a small price to pay for having an experience like that.
Great Iowa State Fair story, though.
That will be one of the standout memories. 40 years from now, if I'm around, you ask me, and that'll be my answer.
Well, let's talk about some of your other memories. Did you come to any big concerts? Did you see any, any politicians you idolized growing up when you were a young man and came to the fair? What do you remember seeing here?
Well, I can look back and remember just last year, Sarah Palin being all over the place. One of the things I think about was a young boy, I guess he was about 11 years old, and he came up to me and he had this great big smile on his face, and I didn't know who he was, but he looked at me and he smiled and he tipped his cap back, and Sarah Palin had autographed his forehead, and he had this great beaming smile. He had Sarah Palin's autograph on his forehead. That stands out.
Yeah.
And then back and forth between the pork tent and the beef quarters, you just meet so many people down there, and the food line, especially up at the pork tent, person after person, hundreds of people, happy, polite, gracious. They all want some rain. And so you get a feel for the flavor of Iowa. I don't do a lot of concerts or events that way. It's just that's not what really flows with what I do. I'm usually pretty busy.
People watching the food, that's what a lot of people do here.
I come and sample the food,
Now, as long as we're on the food topic, this is my last question. What is your must-have State Fair food staple?
Well, this is a tradition with me.
Okay.
And I go up and I have a chop on a stick.
Okay.
And that chop on a stick originated up in Plymouth County at Lamar's at their county fair. So you have to have a chop on the stick, and then you can go directly down to the beef quarters for a ribeye. And it proves the axiom, which we call the Brono rule. That's some neighbors of ours. You don't have to be hungry to eat, especially at the state fair.
Only in Iowa is the pork chop an appetizer. Thank you very much, Congressman. Pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.